This is the home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking.
Well. Looky what we have here. Looks like maybe I was right. And some people that were adamantly and vehemently stating that the ACC grant of rights is just so unbreakable. There were so many podcasters out there that told me there's no way in hell. And I'm like, oh, yes, there is. There is a way. You can say there's not, but there's always a way. And it seems like ESPN is at the genesis of all this, as they have the option in 2025 to opt out of their TV deal with ESPN, which would then allow Florida State, Clemson, and other teams in the ACC to possibly get out of that ironclad grant of rights. Let's talk about it. Once again, it's great to be back in the saddle again, as that old Aerosmith song once said. Is here we come riding in once again with another episode of the Outlaw Posse, and here they come riding in. It's the Outlaw Posse now in effect. And today's four horsemen shoutouts go to Tim Gillespie, Facts Over Feelings, Taylor Walston, and Land Shanks 324 are mounted up, saddled up, and ready to go and going to help us with today's college football invasion. And if you want to get your badge and get deputized like them and get your random four horseman shout as well as possibly be the comment of the day, it's just $2.99 a month. That's 75 cents a week. It's just a half a bottle of water for the outlaw. Now, you can also just like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those are the big four, and they're all free. And subscriptions are most important. They're what keeps this party crunk and keeps the lights on. Also, I can be found on Twitter, aka X, at OCF Productions. Now, getting right to it here. It seems like I was watching a little bit of On 3, and I've been listening to Josh Pate and a few others, and basically they're saying something that I said about 6 or 7 months ago, and that is the ACC grant of rights is not as ironclad as people think. ESPN has an opt-out option, as I mentioned in the lead-up, in 2025. I think it's February of next year, where they can opt out if they're not happy with the product that they got. If they do that, then Florida State and Clemson could probably get out rather easily. They may still have to buy an out fee. They may have to still pay an out fee, but it wouldn't be near as substantial from what I'm understanding from the sources out there. But like I've alluded to numerous times, I think that ESPN is probably the puppet master behind a lot of this. Now, the Big Ten, I'm not saying they won't get their fair share, but from what I'm understanding from On 3 and a lot of other people, and this sort of surprised me, is that Clemson and Miami in particular are not as coveted as Clemson and Miami think. That the Big Ten and the SEC, neither one, really have much interest in Clemson and Miami going forward. Although those two programs have won numerous national championships. So On 3 may be wrong about that. But let's say they're not. Let's say they're not wrong about that. Then what you're going to have here is the SEC fighting the Big Ten over Florida State and North Carolina. Those are the two big brands right now that are most coveted, in my opinion. They may split them. Who knows? And the SEC could still go add Clemson and Miami, and same thing with the Big Ten. They could add Miami as well. So there's numerous different avenues and how this could shake out. But if Clemson and Miami are not as coveted by the SEC and the Big Ten, is it possible that Clemson and Miami could end up in the Big 12? That's what's being talked about here, and that really surprised me. But like I said, if the Big Ten and the SEC are really not that interested in those two, then you could absolutely see Clemson and Miami in the Big 12, which would be a big coup for the Big 12, and it would probably solidify them as a very serious player in a conference to actually be taken seriously in the next 5 to 10 years. The SEC, if they could get Florida State, they may add UNC and Virginia after that, and then they may think about taking either a Clemson or Miami, and there's even rumors that maybe Pittsburgh may be in play for the SEC as well as the Big Ten. I know Pittsburgh's a northern team, but if the SEC wants to sort of give the Big Ten a poke in the eye, so to speak, because the Big Ten is trying to get in Florida. Instead of trying to border off Florida, if the SEC doesn't want any more teams in Florida, well, then they could just turn the tables on the Big Ten and expand into some Big Ten markets like the state of Pennsylvania by taking Pittsburgh. The Big 12, it's saying here, may have an inside track to NC State, Louisville, and then maybe either Syracuse or Virginia Tech would be interchangeable, as well as Miami and Pittsburgh. So there's so many possibilities here. But the bottom line in all this, and the thing that really has made me feel a little Nostradamus-like, is the fact that something I said 6 or 7 months ago, as I said earlier, is that ESPN, since they own the TV rights and the grant of rights thing, they have a lot of pull and say in that. They may actually come in and say, hey, we want 6 or 8 teams from the ACC to be divvied up between the Big 12 and the SEC, and the Big 10 may in fact be the conference that's taking whatever leftovers they can get at that point. I don't know. You guys and gals, tell me in the comment section what you think about all this. Once again, conference realignment that continues to have our heads swimming and going round and round. Just drop it in the comment section and tell me what you think. Oh, and before I forget, all this goes down like I think it is, and we all know it's probably is going to go down, that one elitist domino will probably finally fall. That being the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, who everybody considers as being elitist and not wanting to join a conference, will have to fall in line and finally join a conference, most likely the Big Ten, because their little cash cow, the ACC, the one that's been allowing and enabling them to have their cake and eat it too, so to speak, where they have their football independence, but at the same time get to mooch off the ACC and other sports, will no longer have that out. And that's why they got that AAU thing so quickly and suspiciously, in my opinion. As we all know, they're not really a research institution. Now, I had a Notre Dame guy and me sort of have a debate about that on one of my podcasts, but I'm just not buying it, man. I like Notre Dame. I don't think they're elitist. I think they've just been getting away with it for so long. They're like, why shouldn't we get away with it? But they got that AAU status rushed through on purpose to pacify those elitist wannabes in the Big Ten, so they'll have that AAU status to join the Big Ten. And we all know the AAU thing, and here's another thing, is that they'll claim that, you know, their academic standards are so much higher for their student athletes and yada, yada, yada. Your academic standards may be higher, sure enough, for regular students. I can give you that. But for your student athletes, no, they're not. Yeah, you may say that they have to have a certain grade point average, which is higher than the student athletes at, say, an Alabama or an Oklahoma. But are your academic requirements really that much more higher and more highly regarded if you are just basically fixing the grades for your students? Because we all know about the whole Notre Dame Tutorgate scandal back in the late 1980s. A lot of these student athletes, it ain't just at Notre Dame and the Big Ten, it's across the board in the SEC and everywhere else. They get special tutors to make sure they make the grades. So your academic requirements are not really that much higher than anybody else's, especially if someone's making the grades for them. Before we get out of here, let me mention my sponsors, McFab LLC, powder coated signage, as you can see right up here. Great sign that he sent me, as well as Moe's Woodsmith Shop, handcrafted, never any lasers. Nice little cutting board he sent me. You can put anything on a piece of wood. Just check out Moe's Woodsmith Shop. It's also in the bottom scroll down here. Also, if you want to donate to the program one time, it's a little hard down here with the money dollar sign in the middle. Smash that heart. Throw me a few dollars in the coffers. Also, you can join the Outlaw Posse. As I said before, it's just $2.99 a month, 75 cents a week. It's a little join button, next subscribe button, two different things. And as I said before as well, like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Those are the big four, and they're free. Let's get this party crunk. And with that, I'm out of here. KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.